I would have done a backpack show after dark for anybody. Not true. But for Saul Colt, the greatest, smartest man in the world, fiercely attractive Saul Colt, the man from the Idea Company. And he said, I have something to announce. And then Kerry said, well, can we scoop it by one entire day?
I did say that.
So then here we are.
I love breaking news.
Saul Colt. And we're going to talk to him about something the episode's called Mad World because the Idea Integration Company is going to pick up and do work with the folks from Mad Magazine.
Welcome to the Backpack Show with your hosts, Chris Brogan and Kerry Gorgone. Boom shakalaka!
So exciting.
We haven't done a Backpack Show after dark in forever.
I know. Feels like forever because anytime they say, are you going to do more? I'm always like, no. And I don't mean never, like I'm not going to, but I don't know.
This is going to be a scoop, inspired. LinkedIn user.
There's StreamYard. StreamYard respects your privacy. So you have to like click to authorize us to see who you are if you want us to. And if not, then that's all right. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Jane.
So we are so excited because we have not one, but two guests tonight.
We do. Saul Colt, my friend for years and years and years, incredibly attractive. So it's hard to remember to talk about his bona fides, but he's a smart guy who does lots of good, important things with ideas. He's helped a lot of the biggest companies in the world do important things, but now he's got a new secret project and we're going to break the wires on that. We're going to talk about his absolute fortune in picking up and being able to work with Bill Morrison from many places, from Disney, Bongo Simpsons type stuff, and also Mad Magazine, and so much more. All right, we have to read ads because I'm going to forget to read ads, and
not too many
will be ruined. Oh, I don't know. We only have a few left. We could use some people. Give me a bag of money, somebody. Hey, you like audio podcasts? I mean, who doesn't? Castos.com is a place you can host an audio podcast. It's super something.
Easy.
That's good. Easy. That's one. Hey, want to use StreamYard? You can. See Brogan.me/StreamYard. You can be running a show just like this. You don't need
comic book artist.
That's right. You don't need an incredible curtain like Saul Colt. You don't need all the pen strokes of Bill Morrison. You can do this a different way. Hey, ever want to use a search engine you've never heard of? Try Presearch. Presearch is a swell search engine. The idea is really a lot the way Mad Magazine was founded. It's about sticking it to the man. There was a whole bunch of things going on where Google was really wrecking this guy's local traffic. And he said, you know what? I'm going to come after you and I'm going to make my own business.
Yep. You have to be logged in, though, to get the cryptocurrency rewards for using it. Some people
reminds me every now and again how I log in for almost a year.
Used it for months because it was just a great search engine.
I could
have eating over there. Eating is fine, but
I'm drinking. Okay. Hey, would you like a .online domain? They're great when they stay up. Hair lip. That's one of my favorite jokes. Brogan.me/online. You can get a domain from the people who make online for an entire $1.
Use the code Chris in all caps. I don't know.
That's it. That's all the reads. What do you want to grab Saul and then Bill or something like that? Saul and Bill?
Slap them both together. Let's do this.
Slap away. Let's slap. Saul Colt, Bill Morrison, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks. Hi Chris. Hi Kerry.
So thanks for letting us scoop you on your own news release.
Yeah, you're going to be nobody tomorrow, and you said you're going to come.
If nobody covers this tomorrow because they say it's old news, I will never appear on this show again.
That's okay as long as Bill comes. I mean, I'm good for like a 50-50 shot at this.
I announced this a month ago, but I forgot to tell Saul. So
there you go.
All right. So what's the moment for this that it happens that you're thinking, I need to work with the Mad Magazine creative team now that it seems like maybe they're going to have some time? Like, Saul, how does this happen? Where are you? Are you in the bathroom reading Mad Magazine? Like, what's going on? I need the full context.
So I'll start from sort of the beginning. It's one of those really kind of organic things. The last 2 years, I'd say 2019 was an absolutely devastating year for everybody, but also my business. And it's everybody was inside. Brands weren't doing experiential marketing. We survived, which is more to say, the more than a lot of people can say. So this isn't a complete pity party, but very, very difficult year, and things turned around a little bit last year. And I myself, I'm immunocompromised, so with all this COVID stuff, I barely left my house except to go grocery shopping and get booster shots and things like that for almost 2 years. And there was this one little pocket of time where things in my city were starting to get normal again, and there was a comic book convention, and in the comic book convention, Bill was there signing autographs. Bill is a friend I've known probably a decade or more, and I just DM'd him and said, "Hey, you want a home cooked meal?" And he was in he's in town for a few days doing the signings. Yeah, because Bill's a big deal. Whether I'm gonna be Bill's hype man in case he doesn't, toot his own horn enough.
You won't have to.
But
I don't have a horn, so
yeah.
You're gonna have to do it.
So I DM'd him and said, "Would you like a home cooked meal?" And he said, "Sure." And literally over dinner, we were just kind of talking about like life and our careers and stuff like that, and sort of got on the topic of the fact that like advertising has gotten so boring and stale, and brands are afraid to take chances. Consumers are asking people to entertain me, and it's just kind of like one of those light bulb moments where it's like, should we? And then we sort of went our separate ways, chatted for a couple more weeks, put a little structure around the idea, and I don't remember exactly how long, but I'm going to guess and say 4 or 5 months later, we're here today.
You're muted. You're getting all geared up to talk.
I'm trying not to make spittle and stuff. Bill Morrison made like the only Robin Hood that matters, and I used to have the Robin Hood LP, and I would play it until the grooves were ruined on it. But of course, the art was incredible, and all the other work, like all the Disney stuff and everything. Bill Morrison's got this.
I had that in my little binder.
Well, never mind. Not only Robin Hood, how many people working today can say that they've worked on Disney properties, The Simpsons, The Beatles, Mad Magazine? What are those 4 of the most recognizable pop culture properties in the world? Like it's ridiculous. It's I'm not only so grateful that we're working together. I'm just grateful I get to talk to Bill every now and then.
And what I was going to say too is that when you talked about going to the comic convention and offering him the free dinner, all I thought
I didn't go. I don't leave my house.
Oh, sorry, you messaged because he was in
him.
town. I was thinking about every time I ever go to like the Boston Fan Expo or something like that, and there's invariably some really legendary person sitting there picking their ass just because they don't draw Pokemon or whatever it is that week. Bill, what was it like when you heard the call from Saul? And what made you dare to risk this hangout with this recluse?
Well, first he offered to pick me up, so that's a big plus. So I knew I didn't have to Uber out to his house. He made it super easy. Saul and I knew each other back in Los Angeles, and I just hadn't seen him in years and years. I don't think I even knew, Saul, that you were living in Toronto at the time. But I got a message from him saying, hey, I'm here in this town and you're going to be here. Why don't we, get together? And I can't resist a home cooked meal. That's, so.
I want you to know I sent the same message to Jennifer Aniston when she was in town filming a movie, and I did not get a response. So I'm 1 for 2.
She was out with me that night.
Okay.
Nice.
What did you make? What was the dinner?
It was Portuguese chicken, if my memory serves me correct.
Yeah, very, very good. Great wine, great conversation.
I think that's what you lead with if you invite Jennifer Aniston. Like, she needs to know what's on the menu, is what I'm saying.
Okay, noted.
Little help for you there. Bob Collins says Mad Magazine was my entry to Satire.
Ah,
Well,
I-
so there's a question I had because Bill, you came later in the Mad world. You came to sort of I don't know, caretake it at the point that where it was. It was right before anyone had kind of figured out what they wanted to do with it. What they wanted to do with it wasn't especially nice either. But like anytime you say your name and then if they don't know your past career, if you then say Mad Magazine, like they do what the crowd here is doing, you know, they're what me worry, and they tell you their favorite spy versus spy or whatever. How much of it, like, do you have even a clue what they're saying, and how much of it do you just get to smile politely?
I feel a kinship with those people because I grew up with Mad. It was my entry into satire as well, because I discovered it before SNL, before, The Simpsons, obviously. Anything that came after Mad that was inspired by Mad. I was 11 years old. I was like the right age when Mad was kind of at its peak. I do want to say the reason I was hired is because mainly geographic reasons, because Mad is owned. A lot of people don't know this, but Mad is owned by DC Comics, which is owned by Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers demanded that all of DC Comics move out to Burbank. This is like around, I don't know, 2012 or so, which they mostly happily did. But the guys from Mad dug in their heels and they said, no, we're New Yorkers. We are a New York magazine. We're not moving. I mean, they kind of, boldly just stated that, nope, we're not.
They boldly refused to go.
We don't
where
care.
Many other men had gone before.
We don't care who the parent company is. We don't give a damn. We're staying here. So through a lot of back and forth, they were told, well, no, you have to go. You have to move or lose your jobs. So they DC made a deal with them where they put Mad, the staff, up in a different office because they moved. When they moved to Los Angeles, they closed up the regular DC offices, but they put Mad up in this office building, and they said, you can stay here, you can do the magazine as usual. However, we're going to have to start looking for somebody else to build the new staff out in Los Angeles. And I think it took them about 2 years before they discovered me. And I was at a point where I was no longer working for Bongo. I was working for Matt Groening on Disenchantment, his new Netflix show. But anyway, the stars aligned and everything was right, and they hired me. And that was when they told the staff in New York, your number's kind of up right now. So I have nothing but respect for those guys. I think they were still doing a fantastic job in spite of changing times and people finding free humor on the internet and not having to, and also just people not reading magazines as much as they used to.
Do you have like a one that got away, like something you really wanted to put in one of your pieces of work for Mad, and they were like, no, that's too much. That's too much for Mad.
We almost did, because the very first issue, an idea I had for the cover was Alfred picking his nose with his middle finger. And they had famously done, in 1974, Mad had done a cover that was just nothing but a hand putting up the middle finger. And but they hadn't done anything like that for years. And I thought, well, this will kind of harken back to that. Old fans of Mad will, longtime fans of Mad will relate to it, but new fans might see it as something kind of bold and something you don't normally see on a magazine cover. And we almost didn't get away with that, but we ended up, there's like two different markets for the way comics or the way Mad Magazine is sold. One is the newsstand. Well, there's actually three. There's subscriptions. There's the newsstand, which is bookstores, 7-Elevens, supermarkets. And then there's the direct market, which is comic book shops. And I guess the comic shop retailers are a little more conservative about what they want to put on shelves, because normally they want to attract, parents. They want parents to come into the shops, and they don't want to do anything that's going to make parents forbid their kids from coming in. But newsstands are a lot more liberal. So we were able to do the middle finger cover for the newsstand, but for comic shops, we had to do a second cover.
Oh.
So we actually
didn't like the nose picking.
No, so we did a double cover, and the outer cover was just kind of boring except for the color scheme. And then, but you open it up and you still get the middle finger cover. It's just not on display.
All right. So this harkens to another certain controversy that you at least were around. You did some work on Disney's The Little Mermaid, which for a while was, at least according to one lawsuit, in possession of a sort of phallic castle on the cover.
There was a lawsuit.
There was a lawsuit from some lady in Arkansas or something like that.
Oh, no, that was Arizona.
Arizona? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a lawsuit, but I know she complained to Disney and tried to get them to take the video off the market.
Because there may or may not have been a somewhat phallic castle. Yeah. So they had to go back and redraw and reinstate an absolutely not phallic castle. So I just want to point out that, more than one time you've been around a controversial
Unfortunately,
cover.
it looked like a vagina, so not a success.
So Saul, I want to switch back to Idea Integration Company, because Bill goes with these hooligans who say we're not going to California. Then they finally go, oh, okay, we'll go to California, and then the company goes, oh well, never mind, and boots them. And you think, what I need to do is hire a gaggle of these people and add them to the menagerie that is the Idea Integration Company. First, I don't even know which of your campuses you're going to install these people on, but can you give me a sense of, what was the business plan there? Not Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, but before I get to that, I'll just say, and again, to sort of, make this more of a love letter to Bill, when Bill took over MAD. So I'll tell you, I grew up with MAD. I love MAD. If you look over my shoulder here, I've got the Dick DeBartolo Good Days and Mad book. I've got the Harvey Kurtzman book. I've got every book that has ever been written on Mad. It's one of my favorite topics. Huge inspiration. So while I hadn't picked up the magazine for many years, I did pick it up again when Bill was announced as the editor-in-chief, because I wanted to see what they did. And when you talk about becoming current with the times and things like that, I think Bill really ushered Mad into a new chapter where the content was much more timely. There was day and date stuff, relevant stuff online. I'd never seen Mad really sort of tackle the real time issues and stuff like that. So, this was by no means playing by the same old playbook, and that's something that really caught my eye and impressed me. So when it came to, we should all work together, my company, I've always described my company as a non-traditional marketing and advertising company, agency. Just by the nature of our bandwidth and the nature of our past experience, we've done a lot more marketing side, and we're really known for experiential marketing stunts, things a lot along those lines. But we also do a lot of branded content, and I don't think we get enough credit for it. But when you have an opportunity to bring on just a world-class team of any kind, but also you have a world-class team that also shares the same ideologies around humor and everything, everything we do for our company is really about getting attention, pushing brands just a couple steps past their comfort level. Not it's not about getting the brands to meet us at our comfort level. It's us meeting the brands at theirs, but also bringing them, 3 steps further, sort of thing. So, and I've talked about how I idolize Bill Gaines. Man, it is such a natural fit. I can't think of another team in the world that could slide into our sensibility so easily. You know, and you know, the few people I've told about this, not a single person has said this is a bad idea. Not a single person hasn't gotten excited. I'm hoping that turns into, you know, meetings and pitches and all sorts of things. You know, the time will tell, but response has been very good so far. But you know, from going from the size of the company had to where we are now, really it's such a natural extension where I can only do so much myself, but now I have a partner where, you know, like we almost have the advertising side and we have the marketing side, and Bill is going to, you know, manage the one and I'll manage the other, and we can just do more great work for people.
Did you hire all these folks just so they'd have to draw you? That's what I feel like happened.
Yes, this is all just a long con. I haven't even,
Very long.
I'm still working on the site. I'm still fixing some typos and you guys are showing it, but that's okay.
You're gonna think it's gonna be totally different by tomorrow.
Well, it'll look a little prettier, but you know, needs something there for you guys since we're pulling the curtain back. But
Needs a cartoon of me.
yeah, but you know, if you think about it, and I've sort of said this before, but I glossed over it. You know, I believe, and this is my hypothesis, that you know, whether you're you know, you're like me who hasn't left their house, or you've scaled back, the world has changed and people are antsy and they want, you know, if there's one thing that came from COVID is we've all binged watched a zillion shows, and entertainment has become such a bigger staple in our existence even. And you know, Chris, you've been talking for years about storytelling and everything like that, and I can't see a better group of people to really bring brands what consumers are looking for, tell stories. And you know, I love the fact that, you know, from and first of all, it's this team is not just going to be focusing on advertising. It's really a creative solutions team. So you can hire us for brainstorming. You've got a problem, we can fix it through some of the funniest people around. So I don't want people to think it's just, you know, straight, we're going to make you a flat print ad and shake hands and never talk to each other. There's so much more value this team brings. But beyond that, man, is the timing just so right for us to, you know, I hate to use the word revolution because I think everybody uses movement, revolution. We're going to do all these things and they never actually follow through on it. But man, you know, advertising has gotten boring, and I believe it's gotten boring because it's being made by advertisers. So why don't we put really creative people who've been making ads for 75 years for products that are just making people laugh, and actually let them loose on something real and make it really great? Because, you know, the basis of satire is truth. Satire is all about holding up a mirror to society and sort of showing people where it's at. And that's what advertising is always supposed to have been. It's about holding up a mirror, showing what you know, need or don't need, or add a little persuasion or whatever. So, man, like it just, you know, I get excited about nothing. I'm dead inside, and I'm bursting with excitement about this project and possibilities and the opportunity. Because, you know, it just seems so perfect. And I everybody I've told says, "Oh, this is so great," and I always respond with, "And now I just need to make it work." So I'll say to you, and now I just need to make it work, because I think the sun, the moon, and the stars are aligned, and now I just need to make it work.
One of the
You
things
say
that I
you
love
want a
best about
revolution.
all the things that you've worked on, Bill, are they little Easter eggs and things and the in-jokes and stuff. And one of the things Chris talks about a lot is belonging, and how important that is in marketing and other things to build community so people feel like they belong. So how do you walk that line in the kind of marketing you're going to do and the kind of humor that you've done in the past so people feel like they're on the inside without like shutting out people who maybe don't know all the references that you're trying to make?
Well, when I was at Bongo, I always looked to Stan Lee in my approach to editing, and not just how I related to the people I worked with or the freelancers, but how I related to the audience. And when I was reading Marvel comics growing up, I loved Stan's soapbox, and I loved that every month there was like a message from him about what's going on there at the Marvel bullpen. Even if it was all kind of BS, there wasn't really necessarily a bullpen where all of these artists and writers worked. Some of them did, but most of them were freelancers. But he created sort of this fun clubhouse of that we all wanted to be a part of, and imagine that maybe someday we could. And I tried to do that with our audience at Mad or at Bongo with The Simpsons and Futurama. I carried that over to Mad. Most of that happened, I think, on our social media. And like Saul mentioned, we did institute kind of a heavy social media presence, which involved getting up at 5 a.m. every day, because we were on the West Coast, and at 5 a.m. the day had already started on the East Coast. So things were already happening. So I would get up, I would look at what was happening in the news. Sometimes I would kind of look at the night before to see what was happening, what we could make jokes about. And we had this network of writers who would pitch me stuff overnight. If they were on the East Coast, their stuff was already in my inbox. And if they were, further west, then I would get stuff coming in as I was getting ready to go to work. So the couple of hours that I would spend getting ready, I was looking at my inbox for jokes about whatever was going on. If I didn't know what it was, if like somebody made a joke and I didn't get it, I would have to Google, to see what this news item was about that somebody was making a joke about. And then by the time I got to the office at 9 a.m., I had like tweets and material that we would put out on our social media throughout the day. And the voice was very important. So we would put these things out, but it was done in a voice that made people comfortable. It was casual. It's like any good talk show host. When they're delivering the jokes, they're very comfortable in front of the camera. They're comfortable on stage, and they're making you feel like you're part of their world. Like we're just two friends talking. So it's all of those things. It's communicating to people in a way that is current and relates to them, but also makes them feel comfortable with you, and in a way that makes them feel like you have a relationship.
I'm just going to sing Part of Your World because you started it.
I'm going to squish you. Bob Collins says satire cuts deep because it hits home. He said more than that, but it's a long comment. So I'm going to
when we did this one article at Mad, and one of my editors brought the idea into me that had been pitched to him by a freelance writer, and it was relating to school shootings. And the idea was doing the Edward Gorey ghastly gun, or not ghastly gun, that's what we called it. I can't think of the name of it now.
The something ghastlies. There's a word before ghastlies.
The ghastly something tinies. I can't believe I'm blanking on that. But anyway, he had pitched it as the ghastly gun tinies, and it was ABCs of school shootings, and it showed kids in situations with an active shooter in their school. And so he came into my office and he pitched this to me, and the first reaction is you're like, we can't do that. But then I started thinking, well, when I was growing up reading Mad, there were all these things about the Vietnam War and drug abuse, and some of them weren't funny. They were just satire. They were just pure satire. People get satire and humor mixed up, and a lot of times they're part of the same thing, but sometimes they're separate. And a lot of the stuff they did in Mad, especially in the 70s, was just pure satire that really wasn't meant to make you laugh. It was meant to make you think. And I remembered those, and I thought, this is kind of like that stuff that I grew up with in Mad that was, like a page over from a Don Martin cartoon or a Sergio Aragonis cartoon where, it's like you've got this pure slapstick, just laugh out loud funny cartooning, and then you flip the page and there's a Vietnam War vet coming home to a big parade, and instead of carrying a rifle as he parades down Main Street, he's got a hypodermic needle. And it says, "When Johnny comes marching home." And, you look at that and it's not meant to be funny. It's just meant to hit you in the gut.
Well, I remember as a kid, being really young, and Mad took such a strong anti-smoking stance. So, and it was never really funny. It was really more like, and whether that was Bill Gaines' involvement or whatever. But it's like it's something that really, really stuck with me. Like it wasn't just a passing thing. It was like a recurring, like, this is what we believe in sort of message.
Yeah. So I was just riffing on the comment about satire, but
right.
But it's true. I mean, people think of Mad as a humor magazine, but it's really purely a satire magazine that mostly has humor. But
right. Well, you know what I was thinking about when you said that too, and I have to go to Mitch's question, because Mitch wants to ask the question: do you happen to have any copies of Bongo's, say, Treehouse of Horror #1, like in a 9.8 maybe? Just sit in the back, maybe. Mitch Joel. So I was going to ask this question. I read Mad, as some people did, first as a kid, then as a teenager, then as an adult, and I went, and just amazed how many things I didn't get. It's like when you watch old Warner Brothers cartoons and you're like, oh. And there's not a lot of that anymore. There's not a lot of like the parent gets the joke and the kid sits there. But I feel like with Mad, like you said about things like walking down the street with the hypodermic needle, I would remember there would be times where I would think, oh, that wasn't a very good one. And I'd go on to like the next one and be like, oh, this is funny. Or Sergio would have like some Conan the Barbarian kind of thing. And I'd be like, this is great. They should have its own comic book and call it Gru. But I didn't know. And so then as I got older, I was like, oh, and I feel worse about that. So I think it'd be interesting to see what Idea Integration Company can do in that way. Like, it'd be interesting to see, are you going to make content for people that's going to have that dimensionality to it? Or can you even do that? Is that even a Saul?
You can absolutely do it, and it's been done really, really well for a long time. Like my, when I tell people sort of the 3 or 4 things that shaped my sense of humor as a kid, it was the Adam West Batman TV show, it was Pee Wee Herman, it was Mad Magazine, and it was David Letterman. And when you use Pee Wee Herman and the Adam West Batman show as an example, I have seen every episode of Batman probably a dozen or more times, and it is a much different show as an adult than it is as a child. And I think it almost, like, you need to watch it as an adult to realize just how brilliant these people actually really were. And it's the same thing with Pee-wee's Playhouse. Like, I remember watching as a kid, and then I remember watching it with kids, and like, so clever and so inventive. And and I think that comes from being a professional. That's the difference between people who are whatever, say they're writers and are writers, or say they're creators and are creators. So and when it comes to us creating content, like, I've set sort of like a couple little goals for the company, and one of them is I want us to develop a TV show for a brand. So it's not necessarily like we're not going to create a reality show about us. That isn't as interesting as but let's create like some content. Let's create things. It's it's like, this is not a one trick opportunity to work with us. That, like, I'll keep beating the drum or whatever cliche is appropriate here. This is, you know,
Child.
like,
You'll
yeah.
keep circling back.
Well, I just like I think this is such a once in a lifetime opportunity for brands to have this much opportunity to work with this many really truly creative people who are in it because they love being creative. It's the only thing they can do or know how to do, as opposed to, you know, the you know, creative director of a giant ad agency who probably hates himself, but you know, he's got, you know, a Gucci subscription that just sends him clothes every week, so he's got to keep showing up to the work and stuff like that. But you know, the other thing, and you know, and this is maybe my own, you know, dig or bitterness or jadedness or whatever, but I can guarantee people the content we create is going to be because we honestly think it's the greatest content possible for the right target. And whereas a lot of ad agencies and a lot of other creative houses are trying to win awards with their brand's budget, you know, their client's budget. Awards are really nice, but you know, when I look back on this in 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, I'd like us to have the world's greatest portfolio of stuff that we've created, and this could be like not only my legacy. I want it to be the legacy of everybody who works on these projects. Like, and you know, and I'm channeling the hyperbolic nature of Stan Lee, and I'm going to start using you know, alliterations and things like that. But you know, like I want in 10 years people to be as proud of working on this project that, you know, this almost overshadows the fact that they ever worked at The Simpsons or worked on Mad. I want this to be people's legacies, and you know, like how Mad went on after Bill Gaines passed. You know, I want, like, I hope this runs forever. There's this amazing quote that I'm going to share on Instagram tomorrow, but it's Bill Gaines talking to Bob Costas. And if you ever had a chance to watch that interview from Later with Bob Costas, it's on YouTube. It's really great. It's like a 30-minute Bill Gaines interview, and I've never seen another long form interview with Bill Gaines anywhere. But Bill, at the end of the interview, Bob Costas says, "Is Mad Magazine going to be around for another generation?" And Bill's answer was, "I certainly hope so, because I work with some of the greatest people in the world." So, like, I want to continue that legacy. I by no means am Bill Gaines. I'm no means in that category, but man, like, you know, take it from him. These are the greatest creative people in the world. So let's like keep letting them be creative.
There's a choice of budget here between the idea integration company and a TikToker. That's all I'm thinking. That's all I'm thinking of how these meetings are going to go. It's going to be like, well, I don't know. I was thinking we could go with maybe a cool
this
dance.
one sells her farts in a jar. She's the one.
Jar
Well,
farts are a thing.
We're going to get Bill to do makeup contour videos before the meeting, so we're fine.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's good. And by the way, I mean, a lot of people don't know that there's also, I should point out, a merch store inside of the Idea Integration Company as well. So I had this queued up and then it absolutely pooped the bed because
that's only there as a joke.
No, are you kidding me? I was going to buy the lunchbox shirt.
Really?
I love the lunchbox shirt or the Saul Colt Knight Rider shirt.
So here's the thing about my little t-shirt shop. I did this just so I could teach myself how to set up an e-commerce website. But I'm very proud to say I make about $11 a month selling t-shirts. So
that's awesome.
You guys can laugh, but Subway's on me.
It's one good burrito away from a good time. So listen, we've really hit the moment in the show that's kind of my favorite because it means you'll be leaving soon. So
that's not nice.
No, it's not. I just said.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
We had actually debated we were going to give it to LinkedIn user, and then I really also thought that Myzical Shadow said sister19lol.online. I thought that was a good one, but I'm going to have to give it to Mitch Joel, only because I was talking about Mitch Joel's bass podcast today. Mitch, a very famous marketing professional, and also
so smart.
Covered the music beat back up in Canada back in the day. I was talking to a bassist in Poland and had to invoke the name of Mitch Joel. So
And Mitch has also been a very good friend to this project as well, and I owe a great deal to Mitch. So I'm always in Mitch's debt.
And he's so nice.
Mm-hmm.
He's very nice.
You have to dig out that 9/8 Treehouse of Horror #1.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to get it.
No better guy. All right, so we have a question we've asked every guest on the show. That includes one Saul Colt. But we have a question we've asked every guest, which is, what goes in your backpack? Now, this could be something physical. It could be something metaphorical. It's just, what's going to help people succeed in the next couple of years, right? So, Kerry, what's an example of something physical someone could add to a backpack?
Extra set of teeth.
An extra set of teeth.
You never know.
Perfect sense. Mm-hmm. What about something metaphorical we could add?
Oh, kindness. We just need more of it.
Kindness is probably good. I'll go with Saul first. Saul, what are you going to add to the backpack? Either physical or metaphorical.
I'm gonna add a deck of cards. This is a little known fact. When I'm on Zoom meetings and stuff like that, I practice magic tricks and do shuffling and things. So I like keeping my hands busy, and so I usually have a deck of cards nearby. Do you guys want to see a magic trick?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, watch this. I'm gonna cut the cards. So I can see that card. Well, I don't want to see the card. Okay.
That's okay. The audio podcast people can't see it.
Okay, ready? 4 of spades.
Yes.
Okay. Joker. I've memorized all the cards, so I know exactly what they are. 8 of diamonds.
Also, StreamYard is really good at having a display where you could see them.
Wow. I could do this all day.
That's a great.
Oh, Mitch. Mitch would rather be the Bryan Adams of marketing than the Nickelback of marketing.
And something metaphorical.
Well, you can do one or the other. It's up to you.
We've already done. Do we have to do both?
No, just one.
All right. Well,
you're done.
Okay. I'm done.
Cede the floor to Bill Morrison already. Bill, what would you like to add to your backpack? It could be either physical or metaphorical.
I think he's gonna say Bongos, the Treehouse of Horror #1, like a 9.
9.8, let's say.
It's always good to have one of those handy. You never know when you're going to need it. I think physical would be a sketchbook for me, and a pencil. Because that's good. That's good for sketching, and you can also take notes and write down ideas that come to you.
Is there a random nearby your hand doodle that you've done over the last handful of days while you've been on a call?
PG-13. PG-13.
No, I don't get it.
I know you don't.
Showed you PG-71.
Doodler. I kind of commit to.
Right, this is a guy who makes like Disney movies and
you draw
magazines.
With intention.
I get it. Fine.
I'm not one of those who just kind of mindlessly doodles. I used to, but
I would do it if I had some talent.
I save all that energy for something that actually pays.
See, that's what I say about journaling. I'm kind of anti-journaling for similar reasons. But
I am an author. I do not journal.
Author.
I don't write for no one.
I played Shakespeare.
I think something I would put in the backpack that I've always it's advice that I've always given to young people starting out, not only in the business I'm in, but in pretty much not every business, but most businesses. I always think of myself as being in a service industry. And a lot of artists that I know, if they're working on a commercial job and they get asked to make changes, they get this attitude that I'm an artist and how dare you ask me to change my art to suit your needs. And that's just crazy to me. I just always try to conduct myself like I'm a waiter at a restaurant. And if you're sitting at my table and you're asking me for a piece of artwork and I give you the artwork and it's not right, then how can I make it better? How can I make you happy? And a lot of people just don't get that. A lot of people are in service industries and they don't realize it. And like I said, not everybody is, but I think if you sort of examine what you do for a living, maybe 8 times out of 10, you probably realize you're in a service industry. And it's always just good to remember that. And part of that is just being reliable. That's kind of the secondary thing. Is I've gotten to where I am and done the things that I've done on a modicum of talent, because I know a lot of artists and writers who are way more talented than I am. But being a flake and being super talented doesn't get you more work. So you got to be dependable. You got to hit deadlines. And you got to be, like I said, you got to be kind, courteous, and with the attitude that you're giving the person who's hiring you what they need.
That's
And
a lot
funny.
to stick in a backpack, Bill Morrison. But I
You
think
got to
I
be a
got
little
it.
bit funny.
I have a big backpack.
Well, it's a little bit funny. Just
Little
feeling
bit funny.
inside. All right.
Oh,
So
was
my
it the song
grandmother,
lyrics?
Elton
my
John.
grandmother collected a lot of Mad magazines from the discards of my dad and his brother, my Uncle Jim. And one thing that I can tell you from my past experience is that there's a little known thing. Everybody knows you could do the accordion cover on the back, but there's a little known detail that you didn't know about Mad magazine.